Welcome to Calm and Cozy Bedtime, your sanctuary of peace, where the noise of the day fades and serenity takes its place. Whether this is your first time tuning in or you're a returning listener, let me start by saying how truly grateful I am to have you here. If this is your first visit, think of this space as a warm, comforting corner of the world where you can pause, rest, and rejuvenate. To our familiar friends, welcome back. Your presence always brings a special warmth to this little haven. Tonight, we have something truly special to share. We'll dive into the heartwarming tale of a gentle gardener, Mr. Green. But he wasn't just any gardener. He had a unique gift for nurturing not only plants, but also the lives around him. His work wasn't just about soil and seeds. It was about hope, patience, and a quiet kind of magic that inspired everyone who crossed his path. His story is one of simplicity, kindness, and the profound peace that comes from being deeply connected to nature. Before we delve into this tale, let's take a moment to prepare ourselves for the journey. This time is for you. There's no need to rush. There's nowhere else you need to be. So, find a comfortable position, whether you're lying down or snuggled up in your favorite chair. Adjust your pillows, feel the softness of your blanket wrapping around you, and let yourself begin to unwind. Take a slow, deep breath in, and as you exhale, imagine the worries of the day dissolving into the air, like mist disappearing in the morning sunlight. Let each breath guide you deeper into a space of calm and stillness. Here, in this moment, you are free from the demands of the outside world, free from stress, and free to simply be. Notice the gentle rhythm of your breathing. Feel how it anchors you to the present moment, reminding you that this is your time to let go, recharge, and embrace the quiet joy of being. As the world around you softens, let your mind and body follow suit. Allow yourself to melt into the comfort of this space, where peace is not just a feeling, but a presence that surrounds and holds you. Now, as you settle into this state of calm, let the story we're about to explore carry you even further. It's a story of patience, growth, and the beauty of small, thoughtful actions. A story that will remind you of the quiet strength we all carry within us, waiting to bloom when the time is right. Are you ready to embark on this peaceful journey? Let's begin. Relax, breathe deeply, and let the story of Mr. Green guide you into a night of tranquility and rest. The first rays of sunlight stretched across the horizon, casting a golden glow over the rose petals still kissed by dew. Tiny droplets clung to the edges like little jewels, sparkling with the promise of a new day. A gentle breeze whispered through the garden, rustling the leaves and sharing secrets with the ancient oak tree standing watch over this peaceful haven. The morning symphony began to play, a harmonious blend of chirping robins and sparrows, each note weaving into a melody that danced across the garden. Somewhere in the distance, the soft cooing of doves added a calming rhythm, grounding the air in serenity. This was the magical hour of the garden, a time when life awakened and peace seemed to wrap itself around every corner, every petal, and every blade of grass. At the heart of this serene scene stood Mr. Green, the gardener who had lovingly nurtured every flower, tree, and patch of earth within this sanctuary. With weathered hands and a warm, gentle smile, he entered the world he cherished. To him, the morning wasn't just the start of another day. It was a celebration of renewal, a chance to reconnect with the earth and its quiet magic. Mr. Green had a routine, a ritual that spoke to his reverence for the life in his care. He would begin by strolling through the paths he had so carefully laid, stopping to inspect the roses, which were always his pride and joy. His fingers grazed their petals softly, as though greeting an old friend. The dew felt cool to his touch, and he marveled at how these delicate blooms held so much beauty, even in their fragility. As the sun climbed higher, it unveiled more of the garden's wonders. Vibrant marigolds opened their faces to the light, and the lavender's sweet aroma began to waft through the air. Mr. Green crouched near the garden beds, brushing the soil with his hands, feeling its texture and ensuring it remained rich and healthy. He believed that good soil was the heart of every thriving plant, a foundation not just for growth, but for resilience. Nearby, the ancient oak tree stood tall, its branches sprawling like a protective canopy over the garden. It was more than just a tree to Mr. Green. It was a silent witness to the garden's story, a guardian of its secrets. He often paused beneath its shade, leaning against its sturdy trunk to listen to the rustling leaves. To him, the oak's whispers were filled with wisdom, as if it had absorbed the essence of every sunrise and storm that had passed through the garden. The animals of the garden, too, were drawn to Mr. Green's presence. A curious squirrel darted across the path, pausing momentarily to observe the gentle gardener. A robin perched on the handle of his spade, chirping as though sharing its morning thoughts. These were not interruptions, but companions to Mr. Green, reminders that the garden was a shared space, a delicate ecosystem of connection and coexistence. To Mr. Green, the garden was a living, breathing entity. Each morning, he wasn't just tending to plants, he was cultivating harmony, nurturing the bond between human and nature. The act of gardening was, for him, a meditation, a way to ground himself in the rhythms of life, to be present in its quiet, unfolding beauty. As the sunlight began to warm the earth, the garden seemed to hum with life. Flowers stood a little taller, leaves reached out for the sun's embrace, and the air filled with the promise of possibilities. For Mr. Green, every sunrise in the garden was a gentle reminder of the world's resilience, its ability to renew itself, and its unspoken invitation to slow down, observe, and be grateful. And so the day began, not just for the garden, but for Mr. Green, whose heart beat in tune with its quiet, unwavering rhythm. Mr. Green began his day with the simplest yet most meaningful task, watering his beloved flowers. Each droplet shimmered under the morning sun, like tiny diamonds cascading onto the garden. He moved gently, careful not to disturb the delicate petals, each step a testament to his deep respect for the fragile beauty of nature. With every motion, he felt a profound connection to the life blossoming around him, as if the garden itself was breathing in unison with his steady rhythm. After ensuring every thirsty plant had its fill, Mr. Green turned his attention to the rose bushes, his true pride and joy. Armed with a pair of pruning shears, he meticulously trimmed away the spent blooms. His hands, though roughened by years of labor, moved with a practiced grace, almost as if they had memorized the unique needs of each plant. The sweet, intoxicating scent of fresh roses filled the air, wrapping around him like a soft embrace. It was as though the garden was expressing its gratitude, offering its vibrant colors and fragrant perfume in return for his care. As he worked, Mr. Green found solace in these small, deliberate acts. Pruning the roses wasn't just about maintaining their beauty. It was an act of renewal, a symbolic reminder that even in life's most beautiful moments, there is always room to grow, to let go, and to prepare for the new. Once the roses were tended to, Mr. Green made his way to the vegetable patch, where rows of plants stood proud under the morning sun. The sight of ripened tomatoes, their skin glowing red like jewels, brought a smile to his face. Nearby, vibrant green chili peppers hung from their stems, and plump golden squash peeked out from beneath their leafy shelters. These weren't just food. They were proof of his patience and dedication, a tangible reward for the time and love he had poured into the soil. With a basket in hand, Mr. Green began the joyful task of harvesting. He picked each tomato with care, examining its smooth skin before placing it gently in the basket. The peppers and squash followed, their earthy aroma mingling with the crisp morning air. As he worked, he hummed a cheerful tune, a melody that seemed to blend seamlessly with the garden's natural symphony. The rustling leaves, the chirping birds, and even the soft rustle of a passing breeze joined in, creating a harmonious soundtrack to his morning. This moment, surrounded by the fruits of his labor, was one of pure contentment for Mr. Green. It wasn't just about the harvest, it was about the journey, each seed planted, each weed pulled, and each drop of water given. The vegetable garden was a living testament to the cycles of nature, to the rewards of patience, and to the joy found in nurturing life. Before moving on to the next task, Mr. Green paused to admire the garden as a whole. The interplay of colors, the fiery reds of the tomatoes, the soft pinks and whites of the roses, and the verdant greens of the foliage, created a canvas of natural beauty. It was in these quiet moments of reflection that he felt most connected to the world around him. The garden wasn't just a collection of plants. It was a living, breathing entity, one that thrived under his care and, in turn, nourished his spirit. As the sun climbed higher, warming the earth and coaxing the last traces of dew to evaporate, Mr. Green gathered his tools and prepared to tackle the next part of his day. There were more plants to tend, pathways to clear, and perhaps even a visitor or two to the garden who would stop by for a chat or simply to marvel at its beauty. For Mr. Green, every task, no matter how small, was infused with purpose. Whether watering the flowers, pruning the roses, or harvesting vegetables, each action was a reflection of his belief in the quiet power of care and attention. And as he moved through the garden, his heart beat in harmony with its rhythms, reminding him that every day in the garden was not just work, but a celebration of life itself. Thus, the day began, with haste or urgency, but with intention, gratitude, and the unwavering joy of tending to the world he loved so deeply. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the garden welcomed its special visitors. Among the first to arrive was a tiny hummingbird, its delicate wings a blur of motion as it flitted from flower to flower. The iridescent feathers of its body shimmered in the sunlight, reflecting hues of emerald and sapphire, a living jewel in the heart of the garden. It paused briefly at a bloom, its long beak dipping gracefully into the nectar, before darting off to the next blossom, as if performing a dance choreographed by nature itself. Above, the ancient oak tree came alive with the antics of playful squirrels. They leaped from branch to branch with a nimbleness that defied gravity, their bushy tails flicking with excitement. Their chattering and squeaks echoed through the garden, a cheerful melody of mischief that made Mr. Green chuckle. He paused to watch them, his weathered face breaking into a warm smile. Their joy was infectious, a reminder of the carefree energy that nature effortlessly provides. As he continued his work, Mr. Green noticed a ladybug perched delicately on his hand. Its vibrant red shell, speckled with black dots, glistened like a tiny piece of artwork. For a moment, the two shared a quiet connection, a fleeting but meaningful reminder of the beauty in the smallest of creatures. To Mr. Green, these insects weren't mere visitors. They were cherished companions, each playing a vital role in the garden's story. Nearby, the lavender bushes buzzed with the industrious hum of bees. The tiny workers flitted between the purple blooms, gathering nectar and pollinating as they went. Their steady rhythm and tireless effort were a source of inspiration for Mr. Green, who admired their dedication to their craft. He often marveled at how even the smallest creatures could make such a big impact, sustaining not just the garden, but life itself. The scene wouldn't be complete without the sleek black cat that often wandered into the garden. It moved with quiet elegance, weaving through the picket fence as though it belonged there. Its green eyes scanned the surroundings with an air of curiosity and confidence. Occasionally, it would stop to rub against Mr. Green's leg or curl up in a sunny patch of grass, a silent but loyal observer of the day's activities. High in the oak's branches, a pair of doves cooed softly near their nest. Their gentle sounds added a soothing undertone to the lively orchestra of the garden. Mr. Green always took a moment to admire them, their quiet presence a symbol of peace and harmony. He often thought of the doves as the garden's guardians, watching over its delicate balance from above. The garden was alive with movement and sound, a thriving ecosystem where every creature had a role to play. Mr. Green saw himself not as its master, but as its steward, a caretaker who worked in partnership with nature. Each bird, insect, and animal was a vital thread in the intricate tapestry of life that wove the garden together. For Mr. Green, these moments of connection with the garden's inhabitants were as fulfilling as tending to the plants themselves. They reminded him that the garden was more than just a collection of flowers and trees. It was a living, breathing community. The squirrels, the bees, the hummingbirds, even the wandering black cat, all of them brought a unique energy to the space, enriching its beauty and deepening its meaning. As the day wore on, Mr. Green couldn't help but feel a profound sense of gratitude. The garden wasn't just a sanctuary for him. It was a home for so many lives, great and small. Every visitor, from the smallest ladybug to the graceful doves, was a testament to the interconnectedness of all living things. And as he continued his work, Mr. Green knew that these guests weren't merely passing through. They were a vital part of the soul of his garden. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm golden glow over the garden, Mr. Green began his favorite part of the day, the harvest. With a sturdy woven basket in hand, he carefully picked the ripened treasures from his vegetable patch. Bright red tomatoes, their smooth skins gleaming, filled the basket first. Crisp green peppers and slender cucumbers soon joined them, their earthy aroma mingling in the late afternoon air. For Mr. Green, these were not just food. They were symbols of patience, care, and the quiet rewards of tending to the soil. Each vegetable he placed in the basket told a story. The tomatoes, nurtured from tiny seeds, had grown under his watchful eye, protected from pests, and given the perfect balance of water and sunlight. The peppers had survived a late frost, a testament to resilience, and the cucumbers had climbed their trellis with determination, reaching for the sun. Every harvest reminded Mr. Green that the garden wasn't just a source of sustenance. It was a canvas where life painted its own masterpiece. With his basket full, Mr. Green set off down the cobblestone path that led to his neighbour's house. Mrs. Peterson, a kind but frail elderly woman, had lived alone since her husband passed away. She often watched Mr. Green's garden from her window, finding solace in its beauty. When she opened the door to find Mr. Green standing there with a basket of fresh vegetables, her eyes lit up with gratitude. "Oh, Mr. Green," she exclaimed, her voice warm but trembling. "You've outdone yourself again. These look wonderful." Mr. Green smiled, handing her the basket. "Fresh from the garden, Mrs. Peterson. I thought you might enjoy them." Her hands, delicate with age, held the basket as though it were a treasure. "You always know just how to brighten my day," she said, her smile softening the lines on her face. For Mr. Green, this exchange was more than a simple act of kindness. It was a way to bring a piece of his garden's vitality to someone who needed it. As he watched Mrs. Peterson carry the basket into her kitchen, he felt a quiet joy, a satisfaction that came not from growing the vegetables, but from sharing them. But Mr. Green's day of giving wasn't over. Next, he visited the local children's hospital, carrying a bouquet of sunflowers and white daisies he had picked earlier. The flowers, vibrant and cheerful, seemed to carry the garden's essence with them. As he entered the hospital, the sterile scent of disinfectant gave way to the sweet fragrance of the blooms in his arms. In the pediatric ward, The children's faces lit up when they saw Mr. Green. Some were too shy to speak, their eyes wide with wonder at the bright golden sunflowers. Others beamed with excitement, reaching out to touch the soft petals. Mr. Green knelt by one child, a little girl with a bald head and a radiant smile, and handed her a daisy. "For you," he said softly, "a little piece of sunshine from my garden." Her laughter, pure and joyful, filled the room, and soon the other children joined in. In that moment, the flowers weren't just flowers, they were carriers of hope, a reminder that even in difficult times, beauty could still bloom. For Mr. Green, seeing the children's happiness was the greatest gift of all. On his way home, Mr. Green reflected on the day. To him, sharing wasn't just about giving away vegetables or flowers. It was about connection. The simple act of offering something he had grown with love created bonds, however small, that wove the fabric of community. Whether it was Mrs. Peterson's quiet gratitude or the children's joyous smiles, each interaction reminded him that the garden's bounty wasn't just for him. It was meant to be shared. When he returned to his garden, the sky was painted in hues of orange and pink, the day's final gift. He sat beneath the old oak tree, the scent of freshly tilled earth mingling with the cool evening breeze. As the garden settled into its nighttime rhythms, he felt a deep sense of peace. For Mr. Green, this was the essence of his life's work. Not just tending to plants, but nurturing relationships, spreading joy, and creating moments of connection. The garden, with all its beauty and abundance, was a reflection of his heart. And every tomato, every flower, every smile shared was proof that the simplest acts of kindness often have the most profound impact. As the stars began to twinkle above, Mr. Green whispered a quiet thank you to the garden, to the earth, and to the people whose lives were touched by its gifts. In his heart, he knew that the joy of giving was the truest harvest of all. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the sky transformed into a breathtaking canvas of orange, pink, and violet hues. It was the kind of sunset that seemed to linger, as if savoring its final moments before giving way to the night. Green strolled through his garden one last time for the day, his steps unhurried and his heart content. With his trusty watering can in hand, he tended to the plants that needed extra care, ensuring they were ready to rest under the cool embrace of the evening. Under the sprawling branches of the old oak tree, Mr. Green paused and looked up. The first stars had begun to dot the twilight sky, their faint twinkles growing stronger as the daylight faded. He always found this moment magical, a quiet transition between the vibrancy of day and the calm of night. The oak tree, his constant companion, stood tall and steady, its silhouette a comforting presence against the deepening colors of the sky. The garden, now shrouded in the soft shadows of dusk, seemed to exhale, settling into a serene stillness. The cheerful chatter of the birds had quieted as they nestled into their nests, their day's work complete. Even the leaves, which had danced in the afternoon breeze, now swayed gently as though lulling themselves to sleep. The air carried the faint, sweet scent of lavender, a natural lullaby whispered from the garden to anyone willing to listen. Mr. Green took a seat on a weathered wooden bench beneath the oak tree, his favorite spot to reflect and unwind. From here, he could take in the garden as a whole, a harmonious blend of colors, textures, and life. Each corner held a story, each plant a testament to his care and dedication. But in the quiet of the evening, it wasn't the garden's beauty that moved him. It was its tranquility. With the garden bathed in moonlight, Mr. Green felt a deep sense of gratitude. This sanctuary, which had given him so much joy, was now at rest, its energy shifting from vibrant growth to peaceful renewal. The subtle rustle of leaves, the occasional chirp of a cricket, and the gentle sigh of the wind through the trees were the only sounds. It was as though the garden itself was breathing, its rhythm matching the calm beat of his heart. As the stars multiplied in the night sky, Mr. Green closed his eyes for a moment, breathing in the lavender-tinged air. He felt connected, not just to the garden, but to the earth, the sky, and the quiet, universal rhythm that governed it all. It was a reminder that life, much like the garden, needed moments of rest to renew its strength. When he finally rose to head back inside, he glanced over his shoulder, offering the garden a silent goodnight. The oak tree stood steadfast, the flowers rested in their beds, and the lavender swayed lightly in the breeze. In that moment, Mr. Green knew that the peace of the evening wasn't just in the garden, it was in his heart, a quiet joy cultivated by the simple beauty of nature. And so, the garden slept, and with it, the world seemed a little softer, a little more kind. The story of Mr. Green is a gentle reminder of the simple joys that life has to offer. His garden was not just a collection of plants and flowers. It was a sanctuary where he found peace, purpose, and a profound connection to the world around him. Through his care, the garden thrived, and in return, it nurtured his spirit, providing a space of calm and renewal. In our own lives, we too need a garden of our own, a place to relax, reconnect, and nourish our souls. It doesn't have to be a literal garden. It could be a cherished hobby, a quiet corner in your home, or the moments you share with loved ones. Whatever form it takes, such a space offers refuge from the chaos of daily life and reminds us of the beauty in simplicity. Let Mr. Green's story inspire you. Seek out that place of solace in your life, tend to it with care, and let it tend to you in return. Whether it's finding joy in a creative pursuit, embracing moments of stillness, or building connections with others, your garden can become a source of strength and serenity. In the end, the true gift of a garden, real or metaphorical, is not just in what it produces, but in how it transforms us. It teaches patience, nurtures gratitude, and offers a quiet space to simply be. So, take a moment to find your garden, cultivate it, cherish it, and let it inspire you to grow, just as Mr. Green's garden did for him. In its quiet way, it will remind you of life's enduring beauty and the peace that comes from living with intention and care. If you've enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who could use a little peace and calm in their life. And remember to hit the notification bell so you'll never miss another heartwarming tale from Calm and Cozy Bedtime. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Your presence here means the world, and it's our hope that these stories bring a sense of comfort and tranquility to your evenings. As you prepare to rest, may the gentle echoes of tonight's story stay with you, guiding you into a peaceful sleep and filling your dreams with warmth and beauty. Good night and sweet dreams. Until we meet again, take care and embrace the stillness of the night. We'll see you next time.